I'm glad to see everybody here. Today we're going to talk about the Fellowship of the Crown. I know, sounds kind of like Lord of the Rings, but Fellowship of the Crown. And the word fellowship defined is the state of sharing mutual interests, experience activities such as society of people sharing a mutual interest, experiences, clubs, companionship. You know, sometimes people these days, they have a whole bunch of different things. There's certain clubs, card clubs, car clubs, social clubs. Talks about friendship, the state of relationship of being a fellow, or a mutual trust and charitableness between Christians. So even just talking about fellowship, you're talking about relations, right? Interactions among people with shared mutual interests. It's hard to have fellowship with people you don't agree with. Or if they have no mutual interest, it's hard to build a connection, right? So that's the problem with my spouse. No, just kidding. But if you have to have a mutual interest, right? So 2 Timothy 4:8 says it like this. Finally, say finally. Finally. That means that's the end. Finally. There is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not to me only, but also to all those who love his appearing. So we're talking about the crown of righteousness. And so when we talk about righteousness, what does righteous mean? It means the ability to come before him, before the Lord, without a sense of guilt or inferiority or shame. To be close, to draw near to him. You know, if you feel like, or I feel like somebody was mad at me, you may be, or if you know as a child you did something wrong, you may be hesitant to go to your parent, right? You'll be like, oh, this isn't going to be good. I am going to probably lay low for a while. I remember as a kid one time my uncle, he would always harass me. I don't know why. But he would always harass me, and I remember one time, what he would do is he'd come up to me, squeeze my nose, and twist it. And give me like a red dot, called a chemo dot, on the end of my nose. So he was pretty rough on me. You know, it's like when they give you, back in the day we gave birthday spankings. Remember, like for every year you were born, you would get hit. It's like, I know it sounds like, what? How kind of, and as a kid I'm like, how is this a happy birthday? I remember one uncle hit me so hard, almost made me cry. He gave me $5, you know, as a birthday. It still wasn't worth it. I was like, and $5 was more back then than it is today, but I'm like, you could have kept the $5. Because that was not, I didn't do anything to you, I'm just your nephew. Don't take out your aggression towards your child on me, right? So I remember it was pretty painful. But the chemo dot, I remember what I had done. I had bought this bottle of, they called it Morning Breeze. And it really smelled like rotten eggs, like sulfur. It was amazing. So whenever there's a long line and you wanted the line to go down, you'd open it up and people would smell it. It smelled really bad. So he was always harassing me, and so what I did one time, it was during the winter, and I opened it up, and while he was leaving, I threw it on him, on his coat. I had to get even for the chemo dot. So I acted like, oh, was the lid open? So it got all over him. He was so mad. He was chasing me because that was his new leather coat. that he had stolen. It was his new leather coat. He was chasing me around this car, and I'm going, Mom, Mom, save me from your brother, right? But I remember at that time he was not happy with me. But I had to stay away from him for a while. I could have been away from him for a long while. It would have been okay with me. But just in visiting, then eventually, of course, I had to say, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. But you shouldn't have been squeezing my nose and twisting it either, right? So, but that's what righteousness means. Righteous means the ability to come before the Lord without a sense of guilt or inferiority or shame. And here he says, you receive the crown of righteousness. James 1:12 says, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial. So when you have a trial or a test, you will be blessed if you can persevere, knowing that this is temporary, it's not permanent, right? Having stood the test, you will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. So you got this crown of life that you're going after. And then, of course, Revelations 2:10. Now, I always like this verse. This verse, it says, do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. So we have another crown, right? Crown of life. So when we're talking about these different elements or these different crowns, title, of course, is Fellowship of the Crown.